guys, it's Will. It's Hong Kong Cinema Appreciation Society. Welcome back. Subscribe if you aren't already. I know I say that every time, but it helps if I say it every time. You might be hearing a really obnoxious noise in the background right now. I don't know what's going on, but there's like some sort of cacophony happening. I think like in the apartment, like above mine diagonally. Those people just moved out, and I don't know if they're like ripping the whole place to pieces, but there's a lot of clanging right now. It sounds like I'm on a construction site, so if you hear that in the background, that's what that is. I'm here today with a Blu-ray review, 88 films yet again, bringing us the heat with the Jackie Chan reissues. What do we have with us today? Spiritual Kung Fu. So right out of the box, one of the things I love about this is a matte finish. I don't necessarily prefer the matte or the gloss finish either way for just having these films and looking at them. But in terms of showing them off on a camera, the matte finish does not get any glare. And so it looks hella good. So there you go. This is Kung Fu Bob. And again, Kung Fu Bob outdoes himself every single time. Like, this is an incredible cover. And here you have the back. So I'm going to talk about the packaging here, and then I'm going to talk about the presentation of the film. It's a 2K remaster, and then I'm going to talk to you about the bonus features. I'm going to do a separate video as kind of like a reaction. I had never seen this movie before. I thought I had, but as soon as I started watching it, I was like, no, I've never seen this one before. So that will be a different video because I'm trying not to have these videos like go really, really long. So you have the slipcover here. This is the first 3,000, I think, get the slipcover. This is a UK release. I sometimes do forget to mention that with the 88 Films releases, but that means that this is Region B. If you do not have a multi-region or a Region B player, you will not be able to play this. And there you go. There's the back, and we open it up, and uh-oh, heresy. Oh, I reversed the cover. I know, but this is a really cool poster. This actually kind of reminds me of like Japanese movie posters from like the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Like there's all the Kurosawa films and like Zatoichi and like that kind of stuff. And I just really like it, and so I reversed it. And it's the back cover, and then we open it up, and you see the Kung Fu Bob artwork there on the disc. And if you take out all of the things in the case, you see there's the Kung Fu Bob artwork again. This film was released in 1978, just to give you some details, and it was directed by Lo Wei, and Lo Wei ran the Lo Wei Film Company, which is the company that Jackie Chan had a contract with at that time. They also released Fearless Hyena, which I have over here, right there. And one of the really interesting things you learn from the Arna Venema and Mike Leader commentary track on this release is that Lo Wei sold the rights to his movies to a bunch of different companies, and that's why there's so many different versions of Lo Wei films over the years. And I guess the only one that bought the rights in perpetuity was Fortune Star, which is why Fortune Star now retains those rights. Here we have some postcards, or like lobby cards, whatever you want to call these. Oh, that's upside down. Sorry. There you go. There's Jackie. And what we were doing like in every other... I've taken these out before, so I guess when I looked at them, I was just like very haphazardly put them back in. And then there's stuff on the reverse side of these too. So there's that. And you get the Kung Fu Ghost here. Someone told me that those are aliens, but I watched the movie and I'm pretty sure they're ghosts. It seems like everyone is calling them ghosts. But there is like some weird thing happening with maybe you see a spaceship at some point. I'm pretty sure they're ghosts. I'm going to call them ghosts. There you go. So those are all the postcards. So 1978, Lo Wei. What does the movie look like? I keep saying this, and I apologize if it sounds redundant, but it really does look ridiculous. And one of the ways that you could really tell how incredible this particular, this, like I said, 2K scan remaster looks, is that there are multiple points throughout the bonus features where there is VHS footage. There's a Ricky Baker interview where they show some of the original like UK VHS release footage, and then there's some scenes from the Korean version of the film which really look like VHS. It might be like a really old degraded film print, but it looks like VHS to me. First of all, it was like a pan and scan VHS release originally, so it's low quality and it's just a square, and this is like a widescreen film, and it opens in this temple, Buddhist temple. It's supposed to take place in the Shaolin Temple, but as they say on the commentary, Arna and Mike, it was filmed in Korea, so it's a Korean temple. The architecture and the landscaping of the temple is ridiculous and incredible and really beautiful. And it's really interesting. In the opening scene, you see rain. And I was watching it because it's not in every shot. The opening scene is a montage. And you don't see rain in every shot of the montage. And I was thinking to myself, like, if this were a VHS, low quality VHS, or even like a really nice VHS, I probably wouldn't be able to tell that it was raining. And it really shows off how incredible the medium of film is in terms of capturing texture and stuff like that. I may have talked about this on this channel before, but I really love the 400 Blows, the Truffaut film, and I saw that in a film print on a big screen, and it was I had seen that movie before. This was my first time ever seeing it on a film print on a big screen, and the texture of the weather as preserved in the film print was just, it's incredible on a big screen like that. And I think that's one of like the things that's really amazing about film as a medium is how well it records the texture of what you're pointing the camera at, basically. So you really see that here. It's an amazing transfer. The colors are really, there's a lot of bold colors in this film, which you'll know if you've seen it before, like reds, oranges, yellows, and they really pop and they're really bright and like, it's just incredible. A lot of like really big widescreen stuff, and you just can see so much. So yeah, revelatory is the word I keep using, but it holds up in this case. That this is a revelatory release. I don't know, like, what are they doing? Do you hear this? It's like someone's just like smashing a wall with a sledgehammer. Like, dude, chill. Okay, so that's the presentation of the film. Audio options, you get Cantonese mono, English mono, Mandarin mono, and then alternate Cantonese mono featuring different music. And so I did kind of flip through the different audio tracks as I was watching, and I talked about this in the Miracles release too. The two Cantonese mono options, the mixing is slightly different. Like the level, I mean, obviously it has different music, but the levels seem a little different too. It gives you a different ambiance. I watched just like the main Cantonese mono version on there, but the alternate music is cool and definitely worth checking out. And then newly remastered subtitles. So let's talk about the bonus features. There's an interview with Ricky Baker on here, who, if you don't know who he is, he's like OG. Like he's someone I've known about for a while. Like if you're into like, you know, the history of kung fu movies and especially the fandom of Hong Kong films in particular, he was a big figure in the UK. He published a magazine, and like I might be wrong about this, but I seem to remember reading at some point that he was instrumental in bringing Donnie Yen to the UK the first time he did like an expo there, like way back in the day. You know, like Mike Leader knows him. Like he's been working with these films and instrumental in the UK Hong Kong cinema fan community for decades. And so he has an original poster, I think, for this movie in the background of his interview, which is really cool. The movie was called Karate Ghostbusters when it first came out in the UK. And again, it's interesting because he talks about, like, you know, like a lot of people who are big fans of kung fu movies, we like to talk shit on these ridiculous titles that these movies have had. But he presents the really interesting point that you're trying to catch someone's attention in a video store who might be interested in martial arts films, who might be interested in Hong Kong cinema, who might be interested in action films or Asian films or whatever, and you have about 5 seconds of them scanning the title of the movie that you've put out to get them to pay attention to it, right? So when this movie came out on VHS in the UK, Ghostbusters was big and Karate Kid was big. There are ghosts in this movie, and it's a martial arts film. Karate Ghostbusters. If that stops someone in a video store for 5 seconds to just look at the case, and then you get another 10 seconds where they take it off the shelf and they look at it and maybe they rent it, then you've done your job, right? There's a really interesting perspective on, it's easy now to make fun of those titles as being redonkulous trash, but why do they exist? And have they helped the culture of these films? And it seems like, yeah, they probably have. So it's an interesting thing there to hear him talk about that. He talks about other aspects of this film and like what it was like seeing it back in the day and kind of like how fans reacted to it and stuff. You have a thing on here that's about 5 minutes long. So if you don't know, there's something in this film called the Five Fists style. That's 5 different animal styles combined. And there's a bonus feature where it takes clips from the film and shows you each style and actually says on the screen, like, this is the tiger style, this is the dragon style, like the main elements of this style are these things. And then you have Jackie, Sammo, and Stanley Tong. If you don't know who Stanley Tong is, he directed Super Cop. I think he directed Rumble in the Bronx. He knows Jackie and Sammo really, really well. He's a very well-respected director. I think he directed Vanguard, which is that recent Jackie Chan film that's been making the rounds on like Instagram and YouTube of people reviewing it and stuff like that. It has a really horrible CGI lion in the trailer, if that sounds familiar to you. I think there's a fight on a jet ski. I haven't seen the movie. Anyway, point being, the 3 of them, Stanley Tong, Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung, talk about different fighting styles in this like interview clips. Jackie talks about how, he thinks about the audience and what does the audience want to see and what have they not seen before. And Stanley Tong talks about the kind of the hallmarks of Jackie's style. What is he doing? How does it look on film? And how does the audience relate to it? And then Sammo talks about working with Jackie as a director and like the way that they communicate with one another is pretty interesting. And then we also have, moving on from there, scenes from the Korean version. So this is really interesting. There's a love scene where Jackie's like skipping around in the grass with this woman and they kiss. And then the woman who plays a bit of a prominent role in like kind of the middle section of the film, who Jackie ends up fighting but then kind of becoming friends with, she fights with the other woman over Jackie. So clearly for the Korean audience, they're really trying to sell like a romance angle here, which is, it's really interesting to see that. And in their commentary, Arna and Mike talk about how these movies would have different edits for different territories based on what the producers thought people would want to see there. So like, I guess they thought in Korea people wanted Jackie Chan as a romantic lead, so they put these scenes in there. So it's interesting to kind of see that element of the history of these films and their distribution and release. And then you have, there's 3 trailers on here. So the Hong Kong trailer and the English trailer, those are, I think, the same thing, except that one is a dub and one has subtitles on it. And the Hong Kong one is like really nice remastered. It looks a lot like the film does on here. And the English one is like grainy, like the kind of thing that you would see at like the New Beverly or whatever second run theater is in your town that you go to, where they show like film prints of old trailers and stuff like that. And then the Japanese trailer is awesome. It has what I think is a Jackie Chan Cantonese cover of China Girl by David Bowie playing. And it's like super funky. And it has a very different tone than the other 2 trailers. It's really cool. It's like very Japanese. So as you know, if you watch the channel, I lived in Japan, so I really like Japanese stuff. So it's really cool to see that. And then you have the commentary track, which is awesome as always. I love the Mike Leader, Arna Venema commentary tracks. It's interesting. Someone commented recently on my review of The Master, the Jet Li film, which I have right here. Which I loved their commentary too for, and I love the Kung Fu Bob commentary. Someone commented, "Oh, these commentaries are filled with factual errors," and that seemed wrong to me because I have not picked up any factual errors in any of these commentaries. So I asked Arna if he had any thoughts on that, and he kind of said like, we double and triple check like everything. We do a lot of research before we do these. We listen to them after we've done them to make sure that everything is correct. And so, I have yet to hear, the only release from 88 Films that I have heard an incorrect piece of information on was the Replicant release, which I'm going to be reviewing right after this release. And it was not a factual error. It was just someone misspeaking. They said the wrong title. But if you know the history of the films, they're talking about Kubrick. If you know the history of the films, they're talking about the 80s, it's Full Metal Jacket. They just say the wrong title. Like, it happens. I do that a lot on here, so I know, right? So, I've never heard a factual error on any of these, and I just thought of that as I was talking. So, but there's a lot of great stuff on here. They talk about how it was filmed in Korea. They talk about how this was a period of transition in the Hong Kong film industry because the new wave was coming in, and obviously Bruce Lee had died, and people were trying to figure out what to do in the wake of Bruce Lee, and no one could quite figure that out. Shaw Brothers had their own thing, and that was very popular, but no one was really quite imitating Shaw Brothers successfully, and it wasn't working, trying to do these other types of movies. Who these stars were trying to be. Like, this was the same year that Jackie was in Drunken Master and Snake and Eagle's Shadow, so this kind of sea change in who Jackie was on the horizon. I'm just looking at my notes because I don't want to forget any key points here. Obviously, they say so much over the course of 90 minutes of commentary. I'm not going to tell you everything. You should go buy the release, listen to it for yourself, because there's a ton of great stuff on there. They talk about Wu-Tang. The first Wu-Tang album is one of my favorite hip-hop albums ever, and Wu-Tang was huge when I was in, middle school. I'm originally from New Jersey, as you may have heard me talk about on this channel. I also say I'm from Vermont. I lived a lot in both of those places, but when I was in middle school in New Jersey, living close to New York City, where Wu-Tang is from, they were huge, and all the kids in my middle school had the Wu-Tang hoodies with the big yellow W on them, and the first 2 Wu-Tang records were just everywhere. You couldn't go anywhere without hearing Wu-Tang. So it's cool that they talk about Wu-Tang. I think Mike and Arna have both met RZA, maybe, but Mike knows RZA kind of well from working with him, which is super cool to me. There's some interesting stuff about, there's a ninja in this movie. They talk about maybe Yoon Biu played the ninja. Nobody really knows, but there's also an alternate shot. This is the last thing I'll mention, then I'll get out of your hair. It's one shot. It's really interesting. So if you've seen this movie, there's a scene where, this is not a spoiler, but a ninja knocks Jackie Chan out. In the movie, he does it with kind of like a chop. In the alternate shot, he blows smoke on him from like behind. Jackie can't really see him, and it knocks him out. And it's just one shot, but it's really interesting. They were like, "Oh, let's do one other alternate take of how the ninja could be knocking you out for safety." Or it's pretty cool. But anyway, my name is Will. This is Hong Kong Cinema Appreciation Society. If you're a fan of this film, if you're a fan of Jackie Chan, especially 70s Jackie Chan, 70s Kung Fu movies in general, you gotta check this release out. I will be, like I said, reviewing this movie, telling you what I thought, my first impressions of the film, first time seeing it. We'll see you next time.